that happen. I like to be interrupted because the discussion is the main purpose of this presentation, because I'm not revealing any secret facts. I'm trying to just summarize everything that we currently know and maybe we will know. Okay, world top innovative businesses. So you can find a lot of rankings in the internet about what is innovative and what is not. We have media, music, or security or food. But when I was looking at those, I am looking at those rankings, I do not see something that for me should be obvious, because I'm working in an IT world, that IT is not there, because IT is not innovative, and I will explain why. I haven't seen airlines. I haven't seen airports. I haven't seen anything around aviation in general in those top innovative businesses, which doesn't mean that aviation is not innovative. It is, obviously it is, but let's keep in mind that at the end, what counts is the perception of the innovation, and this will be the clue I'm giving for the end of the presentation. Just try to think about how advertising, for example, changed across the years, how we are being swarmed with advertisers on YouTubes and Facebooks of the world. This is what is visible, and this is what is perceived as innovation by the end users. So, what is not in the top 50? Airlines, airports, and passengers, and this should change, and right now. I truly believe this is the best moment to change this, because we are in a very new conditions with COVID, and COVID will be also part of my presentation. We, as the aviation enthusiasts, joined here on this Aviation Hub Conference, are able to change this. As I saw the agenda for the remaining of the day, we have our Gdańsk Airport representatives talking about innovation. We have Grzegorz talking about innovation. This is the greatest moment to show that airlines and mainly airports are able to make it to the top 50 and basically lead the innovation globally. And why IT is not on the top 50? Because I mainly hear it, even when I'm working on a daily basis from Paulina, for example, that we are so innovative, we have so many ideas, but IT as such is only a tool. Innovation always must come to the end user, and end user must consider this as innovative. Otherwise, we're just trying to fool ourselves that we are being innovative. We have to prove ourselves against the end user. So this is kind of an intro. If you have any questions, please interrupt me. Now let's go to the main topic, which are airports. Something that we maybe didn't see as an innovation, but it is, for example, food delivery within the terminal. If you will fly from Gdańsk Airport, you can get the food from McDonald's, for example, to the gate. This is innovative, and this is also an element today in the COVID world. This is an element of social responsibility as well, because you don't have to stay in queue. You don't have to stay in the area where everybody is eating, and you can feel much safer, much more safe, enjoying your lunch, enjoying your meal, and not being within a larger group of people. Green airports, something that still might be not recognized as an innovation, is something that is becoming much more popular in all of the global hubs. It's all about creating an environment where you feel like you are in a natural, place filled with natural elements, flowers, water, lakes, etc., etc., or small ponds. This is to create an area where you feel safe and calm. And why is it important? Why I listed it? Because from the COVID perspective, those elements make a lot of sense when you will see what will be requested by the passengers in and after COVID times. Digital directions and VR. Again, in next days, next months, next years, people will be looking for ways to avoid big crowds because of COVID, for example, and they will be looking for tools to avoid places with a lot of people, and digital directions right now available on many airports, but not very interactive. There is still a lot of things to do and to improve. This solution may help in guiding our passengers on the airports and avoiding the traffic and large groups of people. Luggage tax. Right now, we see that there is a good trend of using reusable luggage tags. Now, the future for this might be that those luggage tags will be also automatically scanned at the entrance to the airport. So you don't have to queue at the check-in gate. You can leave it in an automated booth, and you'll be able to follow your luggage all across the way. And you will again avoid a large group of people, and you'll feel much safer. Everything about the innovation with airports will be to change the way we operate, to convince passengers to fly again. Self-service kiosks. You can see this is already available in many airports, and not only it's available in shops as well, in McDonald's, etc. And again, it's an element of isolating large groups and splitting them into individuals that will, again, those groups will not interact with each other, and there will be less risks for infection. Fast tracks, this is available on almost every airport, or smart staff planning. This is something that Boeing is cooperating with Gdańsk Airport right now to improve the way the security gates could be staffed, to speed up the way we operate at the entry to the airport. And I've listed several international airports that are leading the innovations, and yesterday I've added just one more, which is Heathrow, and I will talk about it separately in just next slide. Are there any questions before I will move on?
Yeah, there's two already, so maybe I will read them. One was actually from me. So how about no unattended luggage, or the comments that are at the airports that you shall not leave your luggage unattended policy. So how this one meets with luggage tags?
Obviously, I won't be able to provide all the details. Yes, you cannot leave your luggage unattended. That's completely fine. There must be an infrastructure to leave the luggage. In a way, it will be controlled by the airport. But the thing is, maybe the way to handle luggages today should be different, and you don't have to stand up at the check-in gates. You can use an automated infrastructure that is spread all across the airport, where you will avoid large crowds. And reusable tags could also include RFID tags to scan them all across the way. So they will be tracked every time. They will be, the airport will continuously know that this is an attended luggage, but it will be managed by the airport infrastructure in a completely different way.
Thank you.
And the second question?
And another question is from the scene. So, as a frequent flyer and an airport aficionado, why are the gates so far away, especially for incoming flights and for connecting flights?
Oh, that's a very difficult question, because it's, you know, managing all the flights, all the landings and departure is a topic for presentation itself. Now, but that's a very good point, that maybe one of the innovative ways to improve interaction with the airport and people there is to also take a look at the planning of connecting flights and shortening the communication between gates to avoid traffic and avoid large groups of people, to avoid infection. Because what is happening right now with COVID, the social distancing, masks, etc., it will not be gone within 5 months or 2 years. Maybe in a couple years we'll get rid of it, but I suspect this will become an element of our behaviors for the rest of our lives. Next question, or not?
Yeah, thank you, Michał. There is one more question, and I think we can proceed afterwards. So, what are your views on silent airports? How do you manage the missing passengers?
Oh, what are my thoughts? Obviously, we don't want to have a lot of missing airports, missing passengers. But before I would answer, I would like to get a little bit more detail on this question, what the person that is asking for is looking directly for, because I might not be answering the right question. So let's wait for some more details in the chat, and I will move on to the next slide and answer later.
So I guess that the silent airports have no announcements of passengers who are on the final call, and how to find them or make them find their way to the gates.
Okay, so the first answer is already in our hand. Our cell phones. All of the passengers, or maybe 99.9% of passengers, have their cell phones. Even if it's a silent airport, the communication must be provided, and when to the passenger. And when I mentioned earlier on a slide about digital directions, it's also about airport communicating all the details to the passenger itself on the cell phone, like airlines do when it comes to informing about which gate you should go to, or at what time you have a departure or landing. It's extending the infrastructure of the airport to connect through this mobile device with the passenger to keep him informed. Now, the other question is how to enable passengers communicating with the airport as well. And again, this is the answer. If we will be able to provide as the airport all the information about what is happening around the passenger, and it must be a smart data. It cannot be swarm of data about toilets at here. McDonald's has a discount of 20% for breakfasts, and your flight is there. This is something that passengers will not like. It must be very precise set of data that the passenger will require. And then when we are able to connect to the passenger through the mobile device, now it's an easy way to enable the passenger to respond to the airport as well, get the feedback on the service, or provide him with guidance where to go if he's looking for some rest. We have cars already saying, hey, you've been driving for 4 hours. Maybe you should have a rest, grab a coffee or something. We can do it as well by analyzing the whole trip of the passenger, saying, hey, you've been in a travel for last 10 hours and you have a break on this airport for 4 hours. Maybe you would like to get some sleep. Here are the places. Or maybe you would like to grab a coffee. I know that you like, I don't know, ground coffee, drip, or hammocks, whatever the type of coffee you like. This is the future of analyzing the behaviors of the passengers, and not everyone will like it. That's kind of obvious. But we are in times where we like to be measured. We use sport applications and pressure measurement or heartbeat rates on the cell phone. So we like to be measured. If we will be able to provide the data like we do for Google, even though some of us may not be aware of it, the airport may use the data in a smart way to communicate with the customer and the passenger, and passenger may reply to it. But it must be built on trust as well, because GDPR is also in place. Okay, I hope I answered this one. Let's move on. COVID, aviation, and innovation. So we could put this slide into any what should be the future presentation for any company. COVID is the leader for digital transformation, and those are not CEOs and CTOs. COVID is a disaster, and as well is a great opportunity, because COVID has caused significant changes in the way we behave, in the way we interact, in the way we work, in the way we commute. And it will not change because our Prime Minister will say the COVID is gone. People will still have less trust in what might happen if they will not wear a mask or they will stay in bigger crowds. So what I'm trying to say is innovation is a key element to fly again. Because even if we will be, if every government will say, we are done with COVID, doesn't mean that the passengers will trust it. And airports and airlines are doing a tremendous job right now. And I'm more aware of airlines, and I'm still learning about airports, to attract passengers back to their infrastructures. so that they will be flying. Rafael yesterday mentioned that one of the Australian airlines are doing the flights to nowhere. So passengers are getting into the aircraft and flying around the airport, admiring the views, and they are flying back to the same airport. And this is to address the need to fly, because people like flying, but also to say we are safe. We made sure that you will not be infected, that you will be safe in our aircrafts and in our airports. And things like that are innovative. We will be innovative in the marketing of flight. We will be innovative. We must be innovative in a way we will convince passengers to get into the airport. And some passengers will be easy to convince because those are business passengers and they have a business need to fly. But there is another group of touristic passengers, and they might be still choosing, okay, I will stay in Poland or in any other country I live in, and I will not fly because I'm afraid that something might go wrong. And innovation in all of the aspects I mentioned on the first slide with the top 50 innovative businesses must be happening on the airports as well, because we have to attract the passengers through delivering food, through greater marketing, through delivering systemic solutions that are preventing infections. We have to provide trust in solutions that are making people feeling safe where they are. Are there any questions to that? No, I believe. Okay.
No, I guess we can move on.
Okie dokie, let's do that. So I have 2 more slides, which might be very scary to our hosts, because I meant to talk for a little bit longer, but I'm still hoping for a discussion. Let's talk about what has already happened because of COVID and how could this be applied to airports. COVID innovations. Lidl helps shoppers find quietest times. So what Lidl has proposed, and it's not available in Poland yet, but it will be, is to guide people that are doing the shopping in Lidl, guide them what would be the best hour you should come to avoid traffics. Now, is it partially the answer to the passengers using airports? I believe so, because if you would go to Gdańsk airport in 2019 in the morning, there is a lot of traffic because of low-cost flights to UK, Norway, and other places where people are migrating for work, commuting to work. Then there is a second wave of charter flights to touristic places. So, and in the same time, business people are flying for their meetings all across the world. And maybe this idea from Lidl could be an idea for the airport to propose some ways to avoid this heavy load, for example, in the mornings, or maybe on Mondays and Fridays, where there is a biggest traffic, providing this data to the passengers. We have the biggest load on those days, or maybe at those hours. This could convince them, when should I fly? Because maybe some flights will be available in later hours, and I can pick the one where I will avoid the traffic. So we can learn from Lidl and inspire ourselves to improve the way the airport operates. I'm not saying it is doable easily, but I'm not providing here solutions. I'm providing here inspirations. Keeping socially distant, and with pool noodles. This is an invention in some restaurants, as far as I know, so that in Italy, every person that is entering the restaurant gets the pool noodle. It's not in all of the restaurants, but this allows you to measure, hey, you are 2 meters far away from me, and that makes me feel safe. I'm not saying that we should provide pool noodles to all of the passengers on the airport, but maybe there are ways, and already available in other places like the clues on the carpet, where you see the distancing in the same way you see it on the highways. Keep your distance from a car in front of you for 80 meters or something like this. Maybe through mobile devices, we could say, as I mentioned previously, we could say that this is you are entering a high density zone. If you want to stay safe, maybe you should stay away, and enriching the airport infrastructure with a mechanism to analyze what is the density in the space of the airport could make those passengers feel that they have the control over the social distancing. I think we might have a question because something was blinking. Do we want to interrupt me and provide the question?
Yeah, sure. One moment. So there's a question from Mateusz. Airports are designed in such a way that you spend time in duty-free shops, etc., and spend money, so the airport could earn on it. It seems in COVID times it would be best if you go straight from security to the gate. Are you aware of any current airport redesign so that the change can happen? Do airports are ready to earn less on passenger spendings due to that?
Well, I won't be answering about spending less because this is kind of difficult and out of my range of interest. But I have an answer for that. Yes, you can go directly from security gates to your departure gate, and still you can do the shopping. In the same way, you can order your food online. You are also able to buy any kind of shopping, any kind of equipment from the airport in the shops through your mobile phone. So you can order it to the gate in the same you are ordering food to the gate on even Gdańsk airport from McDonald's. So you don't have to stay in the shops, and maybe this will be a great change to the airport design itself, because maybe we will not have open shops to go and look and try things and watch them. Maybe you will do it online. In the same way as COVID is right now influencing all of the supermarkets that are all across the world. And let's stay in Gdańsk. Many shopping centers, like for example Bałtycka or Forum, are right now struggling because the shops that are there were not easily available, and companies like LPP are thinking about moving away from those places to places where they will have a separate entrance. And it is happening right now. So it might be happening for the airports as well. So we'll have no shops. We'll have only digital kiosks where we will be able to shop and get the products directly to the gate, and you are avoiding walking in the shops, and still you are doing your shopping. Any other questions?
Yeah, let me look. Yeah, so maybe one question from the backstage, I mean myself. How do you see the future of the largest international airports? So if the future trend will be that we won't be using the biggest aircrafts from to go to the further destinations, do you see that the operationality of those airports needs to be changed to, for example, use all the facilities which are there?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the simple answer is yes. I read a bigger article yesterday that there is a trend to move back to the single aisle aircrafts, which are smaller aircrafts than that are flying right now. And I am not able to predict what will be the end for the airports, not like termination of the airport, but what the airport will look like after COVID. But I truly trust that every leader, every manager of the airport is thinking that we have to change the way we operate because the world is changing. And trust me, every airport is doing this on a daily basis because we are evolving on every day. So yes, all the airports will change the way they operate. Airlines are changing the way they operate, and those both elements will result in changes we will see within the next few years. But I'm not able to predict what will be the final view of the airport after a couple of years.
Of course. Thank you. I guess we can move on. There is no more questions. Thank you, Michał.
Sure. Another bullet, COVID innovation, is the personal protective equipment, which is masks, all the fluids you use to clean out your hands, etc., etc. This is something that you have available everywhere. I haven't been flying for the last 7 months, so I don't know if this personal protective equipment is also available to the passengers. Obviously, it must be available for the general population to use it when you're entering the facility. But maybe this is an element that could also convince passengers if they will be given by the airport a kit with personal protective equipment. This is kind of an easy, but this is also becoming a natural element of our lives. I believe that we have much more people with all those disinfection fluids in their purses and pockets, and airport might be another place where this will be handled, just to make sure, yes, we care. COVID innovation. I was trying to find out how we could use concerts at distance on the airport, but I didn't find a lot of good examples for that. Socially distanced restaurant tables. This is already happening all across the country, and it's happening all across the airports as well. Right now, you have to keep the social distancing because right now it is enforced by the government. But somewhere in the future, the designs of the airports must take into account that people would like to stay socially distanced forever, or for a much longer time than the restrictions from the government. So when somebody asked what will be the future of the airports, maybe the new airports like Central Communication Hub or any other that is being built right now will take much more space to keep the social distancing and have the resting areas for the passengers in a way that the social distance will be kept by design and not by restrictions. Distancing clues from the carpet. So you can see it in many shops. Stay away from you for the 2 meters, and you have lines on the carpet, on the floor. It could be also managed digitally if people that are, and you can see, especially the younger generation walking like this with a cell phone in front of their eyes without looking at anything else. Maybe this is the way to help passengers to keep the social distancing, because they will be alerted that you are too close to other people or too close to a group of people. And distancing clues could be provided not only on the carpet, but also digitally. COVID innovation, web-based X-ray lung rays. This is already happening. I don't know the technology behind. I'm not the smartest person in this room, but it's already happening. Will it help on the airport? I don't know. Maybe yes. Maybe airport could be a place where you could do your basic tests, and web-based X-ray lung rays could be a way to say, yep, I'm safe to fly. And something that struck me a couple of weeks ago, 20 seconds coronavirus tests on Heathrow. Heathrow did some tests on tests. So they have a 20 seconds coronavirus tests. The probability it is 85% success rate for the not that 85% are infected, but I'm looking for the word. The precision of the test is 85%, which is quite high, and it takes only 20 seconds to test pilots, test crews, and test the passengers if they are safe to fly, and they will not provide any additional risks to other passengers. So this is something that we might expect more on the airports as well. This is kind of an inspiration. Do we have any more questions? I don't think so. I haven't seen any blinking. Okay.
No, we can move on.
Okay, thank you very much. So in the same way, I'm trying to lead the teams I have a pleasure working with in Boeing Poland and Boeing Netherlands and beyond as well, is to identify a few questions that could inspire to deliver something new. And something that is meaningful, because it's easy to say we will deliver a new feature to a product we already have, but do we have an end user that is interested in the solution? If yes, that makes sense. If not, it's an invention to cover your ego, but not really the market and the users. So I tried to prepare several questions that should be asked if airport management team would be looking, what can we do to convince to make people fly again? So how will I convince passengers to travel again? It's a very, very wide question, and there is a lot of articles and analysis available in the internet, but there are no firm answers as for today, because passengers are not flying because things are happening today. We don't know what will be the end situation in 2 years. We don't know if we will be 100% safe from COVID and it will never happen again, or we'll have to live with it. So reading, surveying the passengers and reading other articles on what do they think about doing something that was considered normal 1 year ago, why they are not doing this in 2020. And picking up this data and asking some good and precise questions, you'll find out what are the biggest fears of the passengers, and you have to address those fears by many ways. Test them with the passengers, not on the passengers, with the passengers, because they will be your biggest asset to convince others to fly. Will COVID cause long-term changes in social behaviors? Well, my perception is yes, but it's also a very important question to ask and get those answers through deep analysis. What could be the scenarios? And if you have the scenarios in place, you are able to prepare a set of ideas, innovations, improvements you want to introduce to the airport facility and infrastructure. And depending on, you have to be prepared, depending on what will be what changes in social behaviors will stay for a longer time. You can pick the inventions you have analyzed before. And today is the right time to think about it. So be prepared and start working on it. What passengers will be looking for? And the only way to do it is to ask the passengers. And the way the passengers and in general people are thinking about airports, COVID, flights, this is changing on a daily basis depending on what news you hear in your TV. So it must be done in a very smart way to work with the passengers to identify what they would be looking for. We cannot react to their immediate one-day needs. We have to look for trends and address those trends. What did the market already invented? I just gave several ideas what was already invented, but before the airport management team would come up to a conclusion, this is what we'll focus on, there must be a very extensive research of what already happened. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's look for the ideas, because all across the world there are smarter people than us in many cases, and let's use what they've invented already and use it and help the business to grow again. And what can be, and from those ideas, what can be adopted to airports and passengers? This requires again a lot of research, a lot of workshops with all of the data that was gathered because of those earlier 4 questions, and find a way to adopt it to the airport. And any questions?
Right, so there is a question from Tom. Some of these public confidence issues were faced in the months, at least after the 9/11 event in the US. These are good questions, and some of them were addressed then. Should planners go back and study this?
Yes. Yes, obviously, yes. 9/11 was a milestone for airports, for airlines, for aviation business. And COVID is another milestone like that. Because 9/11 caused dramatic changes in the security and approach to security to the airports. And we had no other way because of the government restrictions to introduce those security changes. But also, when the changes after 9/11 happened, there should be a lot of analysis when it comes to the safety of the passengers and how passengers look at it. So yes, those documents might be very, very up to date even today. Some of the ideas that were not implemented after 9/11 could be implemented today. Now there is a slightly different enemy, and it's not visible, and it's a virus. So looking at this data that was already that is already in place after 9/11, and today with the ideas that are available from the market, we could come up with a very different shape of the airport and the airlines at the end. I cannot hear you. You are on mute.
Yeah, sorry. What, according to your knowledge, are the best airports that have best innovated to suit the situation we are facing today?
To my knowledge, I don't have any firm data on this. I know that every airport is adjusting to the regulators of each country. So from this perspective, it is safe. But what I'm trying to say through this presentation is that for those that really need to fly, it is enough. Now, the task is to do much more, and it will not be done by regulators to convince people that do not have to fly. They would like to fly, maybe someone in the future, to convince them to fly back. So regulators are enforcing on airports different behaviors and ways to handle passengers, and this is already on every airport. So every airport is leading in the same way the safety that is regulated. Now, I don't have the data yet on what improvements that are beyond regulations that are leading the way. I don't have this data yet. I'm still working to get this, and hopefully I will be able to provide it somewhere in the future. But Gdańsk is one of those airports that I believe is doing a little bit more than I would expect just from to follow regulators.
And maybe as a follow-up question to that, how do you think airlines and airports can work together? Of course, assuming that maybe intergovernmental cooperation must be done also.
That's a good question. You know, so I could answer in a normal way because I work with Boeing, so I could say through the software that Boeing is providing, but this is not the case. I think that the connection is somewhere else. I haven't seen, I'm not saying this is not on the market, but I haven't seen systemic solutions that are linking airlines, airports, and passengers. Passengers is the key here. This is the key link because airlines are flying and they have passengers on board. Airports are working because the passengers need to departure and need to land. So the connection should be happening through passengers, not through systems. So maybe that's an answer. And there is much more behind this, because through passengers you can do a huge change, a global change, because passengers from the airport are then moving to the cities, and you can interact with the city infrastructure after. So you can plan a taxi from a city to the airport. You can fly to another airport in another country and pick up a taxi in other city, in other country, and there is always one common denominator. It's the passenger. So do everything through the people, because they are the end users. They are paying the money, nobody else.
Thank you. There is a question from DJ. I hope I understand it right and I read it right. Could we come back to treat a person as trusted, so not all have to go to the security?
That's a philosophical question, I believe. Because this is kind of a utopia. I would really like to be in a position when we trust each other. But I don't believe this will be the case anymore. Because with trust, there is a lot of responsibility and a lot of risk behind. And I don't believe that anyone would like to take any risk anymore. And I really would like to trust that every passenger on the flight I am in is washing their hands. I really would like to trust that every passenger will not lie. Yes, I'm completely fine, I'm healthy, and it will be fine. I really would like to trust that parents that are bringing their child to the kindergarten will say, yes, my kid is healthy, it's only a cough. But that's not the case. People that have kids, you are fully aware that parents are bringing their sick child to the kindergarten because they don't have a way to manage the kid, because they have to go to work. So if we cannot trust on something simple like this, how can we have a trust that people are not lying about their health being on the aircraft, for example? And that's, as I said, it's philosophical.
Yeah, I was just referring to, for example, that when you travel without luggage, right? So your luggage is taken from your house by some kind of a DHL or some luggage delivery company, picks it up from your house, brings the luggage to your aircraft, and on your return flight is doing the same. So this is it means that you have no luggage with you. The second thing is that like in shops, like you referred to, well, we've got here Lidl and Albert Heijn or whatever, but there's one of those shops that you can just collect your the things that you want to buy. Then you go to a kiosk, you scan them, and you pay. And then only once every so many people every so many people are they have to just wait and have somebody check their luggage. And I think even such thing is already in place in security, because they will check your bag. But then when you go through this gate, once every so many people, they have to really search physically to do this search. So I didn't mean that everybody can go through without a check, but that is just random, right? So you cannot trust yourself that you will not be checked, but that is just some random check. And also, for example, that you did a scan and identify yourself by iris, right? So there's also something like, I guess there's some stuff like that in place. So that is and the other thing that came up to me was, like you said, that there's on one side we you suggested that a lot of information of you would be available, like what coffee are you drinking, or what kind of whiskey do you buy in the shop. It's just that, yeah, I've seen that how we reacted after this, obviously 9/11 and all the security in place and all the cost and stuff there. And yeah, what is the result? Yeah. So anyway, I think airports and airlines are looking for this journey of the passenger, like you showed there, right? And really like your presentation. And I think the way to go is to have this no, go from home and sit in the airplane without any hassle, right? That will be no, I guess maybe utopia in the aviation world, but I think they are working on it. Huh?
Thank you. There is a question from Kuba. Do you know who pays for COVID tests at the airport like Heathrow? Is it possible that the airports will be charging these fees to the airlines, which will increase the cost of tickets for passengers?
Okay. I know who pays for the COVID tests at Heathrow. Because it's a pilot project right now, Heathrow is paying for those today. I believe that in future it will be included in the ticket price, or whatever the price will be, wherever the price will go. But the passenger at the end will pay. You have to be aware, Kuba, that even right now there are some countries that are not allowing you to fly in. You cannot fly into the country without the tests, and you have to pay for them. I think the case is, for example, for Egypt. You have to have up-to-date COVID tests that you paid for. That counts like plus 500 zlotys to your travel fee to get to the country. So this is something that we have to be prepared that we will be covering. Right now it's expensive, but in future I believe it will be much less expensive, and it will not be noticeable very much. But yes, it will be included in the passengers' fees. I do not expect anything else.
Thank you. And maybe as a follow-up question, it seems that the accuracy of those tests is around 85%. In science, the most valuable number is 95%. So will this 85% convince passengers to carry on with traveling, because it's still like 15 of unknown? Okay, so it's partially philosophical, and this will be my personal answer included in it. So if you would try to do a test in Poland today, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks if you are lucky. And if somebody would have a choice to do a test within 20 seconds and have an accuracy of 85%, I believe you would pick the test. That's kind of my personal answer. I would pick it because I believe 85% is much bigger than 0%, because you cannot do the test. And the accuracy of the test will increase in time. That's kind of obvious as well. All right, I guess that that was our last questions that we had for you, Michał. Wow, that was very passionate as well as kind of philosophical moment of today. So to everyone, thank you, Michał, again, and to everyone, we have, I think I will offer 10 minutes break now for grabbing a coffee and maybe some facilities around you. And please, let's meet 10 for our next panel, and it will be Jarek Trzoska. Thank you,
Thank
Michał,
you.
again. It was great to hear you.